Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spinning Back Clique, the show that takes you on a quick spin through the week's news. And on this week's show, we take a look at the new UFC heavyweight champion, Francis Ngannou, and the man most likely to challenge him first, Johnny Bones Jones. We also ponder the future for former welterweight champion TYRON Woodley, and we talk big name fighter comebacks. But guys, where else can we start but with the events of UFC 260 this weekend and Francis Ngannou? He's got the backstory. He's got the look. He's got the punch power. And now, thanks to his win over Stipe Miocic at the weekend, he's got the undisputed heavyweight title. Does this now mean that Francis Ngannou is the most important champion on the UFC roster, guys? What does having Ngannou as the champion mean for the UFC moving forward? It is a big change with a big champ, but what does it mean? 3 minutes on the clock to get started. And John, you can lead him off.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I think this is a fantastic question, and I had to ponder it for a little bit. But you know what? I think he is. I think he is the most important champion on the UFC roster right now. Now, listen, if Khabib Nurmagomedov was still around, I might change my mind a little bit. That undefeated record that he has is pretty special in the way he beats people and the audiences he appeals to. But as you said it, you know, listen, there's a couple things going here for Francis Ngannou. The fighting style. Everybody loves a knockout artist. You don't have to understand the nuances of mixed martial arts to like a big knockout. He's got the look. You put him in front of a casual audience that's never seen a fight before, and they see this guy and they go, oh, that's a badass. I'm going to be afraid of that dude. He's amazing. So he's got all that. Plus, look at the geographical appeals he's got too. The UFC hasn't really penetrated the African market just yet. Now he's got that entire continent rallied behind him. France still trying to break into there as well. Pandemic slowed that down a little bit. He's got the whole package. He's exciting. It's crazy to say since he just won it, but I think he is the most important champion on the UFC roster right now.
I agree with a lot of points that John made, especially that the heavyweight champion is looked at as the baddest man on the planet. I think that was the notion a lot with boxing. He kind of reminds me of Mike Tyson back in the day. And of course, like John said, the geographical appeal is super important as well, representing Cameroon, representing Africa, and then MMA just being legalized in France. I mean, people are already talking about what a potential fight with rising star Cyril Gane could look like if they could break into the French market that way. I think it'll be interesting to see his pay-per-view numbers, although I have no doubt that as he continues to rise, they're going to build up. He's got the knockout power. He's got a very exciting style. He's got a big following on social media. So he kind of just ticks all the boxes. So maybe not the most important right now, but definitely on track. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did become. How about you, George?
Oof, you guys did a great job. Covered a lot. And, you know, exactly like you said, just the appeal to a geographical location, especially one that's got 3 champions that they can boast about now. That's tremendous. And, yeah, it would have been Khabib, John. Exactly. You nailed it there as well, because Khabib, you know, Russia is obviously part of Europe and some of it's in Asia, but it's just a huge geographical location that has sent a lot of fighters, not just to the UFC, but to Bellator. And so it's a country that's produced a lot of talent. So Khabib leading the charge there, it would have been a really, really tough one. But tell you what, with boxing doing, you know, pretty well as of late, and them having a great champ in Tyson Fury, and now he's got a 2-fight series going against Anthony Joshua, American Deontay Wilder in the mix. I mean, they were on the verge of saying, hey, we can boast about having the baddest man on the planet. No longer. Not after that performance. When you can take out the GOAT of the heavyweight division for all of MMA, and you can do it in that fashion, guess what? The spotlight is on you. Francis Ngannou is probably now the most important champion in the UFC.
And now his job, of course, is going to be to stay there. And even before Ngannou beat Stipe Miocic at UFC 260, Jon Jones was considered the next man in line to fight for the belt. Hasn't fought at heavyweight yet, but he's the next man in line. His reaction to Ngannou's win was to tweet and delete a host of messages on Fight Night. But one tweet that he did keep live was one that said simply, "Show me the money." Is Jones playing this the right way, do you think? And is he in danger of potentially losing out on this fight with Derek Lewis just waiting in the wings? We've got 3 more minutes on the clock. And Farah, you can lead off.
Is he in danger of losing it? Yes, because we do know the UFC, the motto for them is the show must go on. So if Jones is going to be hard to deal with in terms of negotiation, then I could very well see them move on to someone like Derek Lewis. But Is he playing it right? I mean, yeah, he has a right to say, show me the money. Let's be real. He is the A side. I know Francis has the appeal and he has the following and the style and all that, and he is the champion. But I would say Jon Jones is the A side. I mean, he's arguably the greatest fighter of all time. He's looking to add on to an already incredible resume. He has a right to ask to get paid. I mean, it is a risky fight, moving up a weight class and fighting Francis. Plus, imagine the kind of pay-per-view numbers a fight like this is going to do. So I do think he has a right to ask for more money. Is he going to end up getting passed up? Possibly, because we've seen the UFC do that before. But I do think he has a right to say, show me the money. How about you, George?
Yeah, I mean, I just think he misplays his poker hands, in a bad way when he does the whole tweet and delete and this and that and rain on parades. Look, he's kind of like put himself in a terrible bargaining position by already relinquishing the one belt, saying I'm going to heavyweight, and now saying, well, it can be Derek's spot if not mine. Look, two fighters that are very tough to deal with because they make a lot of money, they recently signed, or at least it appears that way, with Conor McGregor now going to face Dustin Poirier, they're saying in July, and Jorge Masvidal, another one that sticks to his guns, and he doesn't just show up for any paycheck, and yet they've made some deals now. It looks like, at least Masvidal for sure. That one's on. So yeah, I think there's going to be a big spotlight on Jon. Hey, look, is it you? Are you giving these outrageous demands, or what's going on here? But I think eventually, as long as he gets his fair share, they're going to make a boatload of money. And this is a stadium fight, so they got to get it done. I hope they get it done. I would hate for him to relinquish his spot. I think Volkov and Lewis should fight for the #1 contender spot to fight the winner of this fight, as long as we don't know what's going on with Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, here's what's interesting is I don't think Jon Jones is in danger of losing this fight. I think the UFC is in danger of losing this fight. Jon Jones can take this fight anytime he wants. Like, listen, that is not a hard storyline. The baddest man on the planet, the scariest dude walking the earth versus the greatest of all time. Who doesn't want to tune in for that? I could sell that pay-per-view and sell $1 million. I don't even need the UFC behind me. You know what I'm saying? So it's the UFC that's in danger of losing the fight. That said, Jon Jones absolutely deserves to get paid, man. To take this type of risk, to step up against this type of opponent, to put your career legacy on the line, you deserve to get paid for that. But the negotiations should take place behind closed doors. I don't think the public enjoys seeing all this stuff. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't like seeing all this happen out front. Let that stuff take place behind the scenes. Get your money. Get your agent to go in there with Hunter Campbell and Dana White and get your money. You deserve it. But don't play all this out in front of the scenes. I don't think people like to see that. Fans just like the fights and not between executives.
Yeah, let's see both those guys get paid, get the fight made, and who knows? Maybe we can even see this at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas a little bit later this year or early next. But that's a fight we definitely have to see. While we're on the topic of Ngannou versus Jones, guys, let's squeeze in a little quick fire topic. Give us your way too early predictions. Will it be Ann Still, or will it be Ann Yu as Johnny Bones steps up and makes it a two-division career and become a champion at heavyweight as well as light heavyweight? 2 minutes just to quickly rip through this one. George, you get first crack.
After what I saw on Saturday, it'll be Ann Still for Francis Ngannou. That guy just seems like whatever he touches you with, you got to unring that bell before you can start to, generate anything. And make no mistake, that thing better happen in the 30-foot octagon so Bones can have some space and maneuver a little bit. But Bones just doesn't get those fighters that gave him a lot of trouble on the feet to the ground as easily as he used to. And Ngannou even showed us a little bit of takedown defense. So I hate the crap on the GOAT of MMA, but I just don't think this is the right way to go. Dana's idea of going back to 185 or going to 185 and skipping past 205 actually sounds pretty good. What about you, JMO?
Recency bias is a real thing, isn't it, man? I mean, you're absolutely right. What we saw on Saturday night seems like a guy that's absolutely indestructible, and it's hard to imagine. Listen, I do think that Jon Jones would have to play this thing a little bit slow, right? That first, second round, even maybe you got to just stay away. You got to move around that octagon. You got to create some space. It'd be tension. I don't think it would be a lot of action. I think it would be a lot of tension and a lot of strategy. Maybe you could get the fight to the ground, but Jon Jones doesn't have that big blast double. He's got to get inside. He's got to get trips. He's got to work from the clinch. All very, very dangerous places. I hate to say it, man, but I think I'd side with Francis Ngannou right now, which seems crazy because I said I'd never pick against Jon Jones, but I think I'm picking against Jon Jones. Fair, am I nuts?
No, but none of you are nuts. But the thing is, it's like there are a lot of question marks with Jon Jones moving up to heavy. He's been putting on the size. We just don't know how it's going to affect his performance, his speed, his movement, all of that. I mean, he's got such good fight IQ, and we've seen him kind of take on every kind of challenge in terms of power punchers. And we all wanted to see that Rumble Johnson fight, right? That could have given us a bit of a hint of how this one could potentially go with Francis Ngannou. But yeah, in Francis, if he just touches you, put your lights out, he's going to have to weather an early storm. But Francis showed us a more patient approach, better cardio, better takedown defense, which shows us that maybe he's going to have that knockout power in the latter rounds as well. It's so hard for me to decide. I don't know if I can even pick at this point, but you're definitely not totally crazy for saying that that Francis could retain the title by putting his lights out. I mean, that's what he's been doing to pretty much everybody.
That looks very much like you're sitting on the fence, Farah, but we'll let you off. Going on to another big topic that came out of the weekend. Former UFC welterweight Tyron Woodley looked kind of back to his old self early on against Vicente Luque, but eventually he got rocked. Then he got submitted as he lost his 4th fight in a row. And Dana White in a post-fight press conference kind of hinted that his time in the UFC could be coming to an end. So if you were advising Tyron of his next move, what would you suggest that the chosen one chooses for his next career step? We'll do 3 more minutes on the clock for this one. And John, you can lead him off.
Yeah, listen, he's got choices on the table, but my choice number 1 would be carry on. I think you still got something. As you said, man, I thought he was back to his former self a little bit. I was excited by that Tyron Woodley. Yes, he came up short. Yes, at the end of the day, it's another loss, but that loss compared to the other ones do not compare. I mean, it was fight of the night. It was one of the greatest one-round fights you'll ever see. It was incredibly entertaining. I'm going to be honest with you. When I was asking UFC President Dana White about Tyron Woodley and his performance, I thought I was setting him up with a little softball to say, no, the guy looked great tonight. I'd love to see him back. Instead, Dana said, 38, 39 years old, 4 losses in a row. We know what that means. We know exactly what he means. So it probably won't be in the UFC anymore, but whether it be Bellator, whether it be PFL, whether it be one championship, whatever it may be, I think he should look at continuing to fighting. I think he can make some nice paydays. And if he can fight that way, I don't care if you get wins or losses. You've already got that championship belt sitting up on your trophy case and nobody can take that away from you. That was entertaining. I want to see that guy continue fighting on. So I hope he sticks around. Farah, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's completely up to him, and I think he's got options. He's already proven like his worth as a welterweight champion, as one of the greatest welterweights of all time. He's won the belt. He's defended it against very formidable opponents. He has nothing left to prove in the UFC, and he's got many options. You look at all the organizations out there for him that he could compete that would love to have him. So I think it comes down to his choice. If he still wants to compete, I don't mind watching him compete. I know he's lost a few in a row, but he hasn't, like this fight, okay, there was a bit of damage there, but overall, I think it's been a matter of him pulling the trigger, and he gave us a very entertaining round. But if he still wants to compete, I mean, I'd watch him fight, and I think he has a lot of options. We probably won't see him in the UFC, like you said, but again, I'm sure a couple other organizations would love to have him.
I'm wondering if Tyron Woodley would have stayed with the UFC had he even won, because it just seems like the UFC's never really embraced him. But he did fight a great fight. It was exciting. He almost had Luque out for a second there. And I would want to see him in the octagon again personally. So my advice has always been to the UFC fighters, if you want to be in the UFC, talk to Dana White, do it personally, and do it as soon as possible before they make a decision on you. I always point to that story of Alistair Overeem sitting in the UFC offices for 8 hours. And then look at the career that Alistair Overeem had the decade past that story. He got to enjoy his time in the UFC, but he kind of had to hash things out with Dana White, if there's even some sort of a opportunity there, right? But if not, then see how PFL plays out. Maybe you can slip in if there's some sort of an injury. We don't want to wish injury on anybody. And in the meantime, if an opportunity comes up to do some submission grappling, which he loves to do, or some bare knuckle and throw down maybe against a former ATT teammate or something, go do that. And then just kind of hang around and see what opportunity comes with Bellator 1 Championship as well.
Yeah, I think he's not going to be short of options if he does end up leaving the UFC. Bellator have got a pretty stacked looking 170-pound division. That wouldn't be a bad landing spot for him if he does end up looking for a change of scenery. And speaking of changes of scenery, Miesha Tate, ladies and gentlemen, is back in the UFC. She's been over to Singapore, had a stint over there as a VP with one championship. And there's been a load of buzz about her coming back. It's probably been one of our better performing stories here at MMA Junkie for the past week. And it's got me thinking, guys, with such a big name coming back and the excitement that we've seen with Miesha Tate getting back into the sport, I want to know the one name that would get you seriously excited if they announce their return to the Octagon in 2021. All bets are off. Just give us a name and let us know who that name is. We'll do 2 minutes on the clock to this one just to finish off. And Farah, you lead them off.
The king of cringe. I mean, look, I'm going to admit it's not exactly my cup of tea, all his videos and stuff he's been posting on social media, but there's no doubt that he's an incredible fighter. My biggest issue is he's in his prime. He's looking better every single time. It's similar to Khabib, and why people were so disappointed at him walking away is because Henry Cejudo is in his prime. He's looked great. He's held wins over the likes of DJ, TJ, Dom Cruz, Marlon Moraes, and an incredible run. He's won his past 6 in a row. I know he's asking for more money, and I don't know if the UFC are on board with giving him what he wants, but he's in his prime. He's 34 years old. You don't want to waste your prime years, and it looks like he wants to come back. I get the feel that he's not done just yet. He's called out Alexander Volkanovski. There are a lot of options for him. Bantamweight is always super exciting. I don't even know if he'd want to make the cut back down to flyweight, but even if he does and Davison remains champion, that's a fun fight too. So he's got plenty of options, and I think he's very much in his prime. He's looked fantastic, and he always delivers. So I'd love to see Henry Cejudo back. George, how about you?
All right, we're going to abandon the format here. We're going to have a little bit of fun on this one. John, do you remember when we used to host MMA Junkie Radio and Jeffrey from LA would call and you guys would go at it and you'd go, Jeffrey, why don't you start the Jeffrey Fighting Championships if you want to have it your way? Well, John, this is your chance. It's the Morgan Fighting Championships. I'm your matchmaker, and I'm going to present you a card. You give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down. The hell with the clock. Let's have some fun. Dean Thomas versus Mayorga. Isn't it boxing and MMA as of late? Let's get these guys together. Except, John, your checks aren't going to bounce, right?
Oh, they might. I mean, it depends how much we're writing them for. If there's a lot of money on the table, it's absolutely bouncing. We got thumbs up.
How about Ricardo Arona versus Anderson Silva? Silva still wants more fight. Let's do this one for Brazil. It used to be Shootbox versus Brazilian top team, except now Andy's with those guys. I don't know what Arona's doing, but still, I think we can have these two Brazilians fight. And I think they're about the same age, and I think they could find a nice little catchweight. What do you think of that one?
Let's put a cage on the beach in Rio de Janeiro and make it happen. Thumbs up.
I love it. All right, and the last one. This one's kind of a little gnarly here. I hope I don't get any heat for it, but we're actually going to take Combate Americas, all right? We're going to be their branch in Africa because we're taking Tito Ortiz to Morocco, and behind the prison walls, he's going to get down versus Lee Murray. What do you think of that one? Did I go too far?
You didn't go too far. We can do fights inside of prison. Let's do that. We're doing it. I love it. Morgan Fighting Championship off to a fantastic start. Thanks to my matchmaker, George Garcia. We're doing global things, man. I like it. Hey, listen, since we're abandoning the format, let me throw one more name out there for you. Simon Head. He may not be able to return inside the octagon, but for a lot of people that don't know, this is his final spinning back click with us. For the time being, I shall say, this man has parlayed his success here at MMA Junkie, and he's going big time. He's going mainstream sports over in England. We're going to miss you, my brother, and we appreciate everything you did for us. Hopefully, you won't return inside the octagon in 2021, but maybe I'll see you octagon side somewhere, brother.
Oh, I love it. Thanks a lot, mate. Yeah. There is absolutely no danger of me being inside a cage unless my personal life goes really, really downhill in the next few months. Fingers crossed it doesn't go that badly. But yeah, it's an absolute pleasure being part of the Junkie team. I will always be Team Junkie, even though I'm elsewhere. And it is a privilege and a pleasure to work with all you guys every week and to do this show for as long as I've been doing it. So thanks to everyone for checking out the show. That is all we have time for on this week's slightly extended episode of Spinning Back Clique. No UFC this weekend, but that doesn't mean we get a week off MMA Junkie. Oh no, it is Bellator Fight Week this week. Bellator 255 in Uncasville, Connecticut. Patricio Pitbull versus Emmanuel Sanchez in the semifinals of the Featherweight Grand Prix. It is a doubleheader weekend in Philadelphia. Cage Fury Fighting Championships. And I do believe our very own John Morgan may well be on the call with a certain CM Punk for CFFC 94 and 95. The MMA world never stops, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll keep you bang up to date throughout the week. And then the guys will be back next week to unpack it all right here on Spinning Back Clique.